The Phala Saga, accountability delayed? The Phala Saga has emerged as one of the most contentious political and constitutional episodes in contemporary South African history. Centered on allegations involving President Cyril Ramaphosa's private business interests, the matter has tested the strength of democratic accountability mechanisms and public trust in state institutions. Despite the involvement of Parliament, the courts, and oversight bodies, prolonged processes and legal disputes have led many to question whether accountability has been delayed, diluted, or deliberately avoided. The Phala Farm. Phala is a private game farm owned by President Cyril Ramaphosa, located in Limpopo Province. The farm operates as a wildlife and tourism enterprise, reportedly focusing on game breeding. While private ownership of such a business is lawful, controversy arose after allegations that large sums of foreign currency were kept on the premises, and that a burglary at the farm in 2020 was not reported through official policing channels. The president's dual role as head of state and private businessman placed the farm under intense scrutiny, raising concerns about transparency, conflicts of interest, and compliance with the Constitution. Arthur Fraser's complaint. The saga entered the public arena in June 2022 when Arthur Fraser, the former Director General of the State Security Agency, laid a criminal complaint against President Ramaphosa. Fraser alleged that millions of US dollars were stolen from the Phala farm and that the president failed to report the crime, potentially violating exchange control regulations, anti-money laundering laws, and his constitutional obligations. Fraser further claimed that state security resources were misused to investigate the theft. These allegations triggered national debate and multiple investigations, marking the beginning of a prolonged accountability process. ATM political party complaint. Following Fraser's complaint, the African Transformation Movement, ATM, lodged a formal complaint in Parliament. The ATM argued that the allegations against the president constituted serious misconduct and possible violations of the Constitution. Relying on Section 89 of the Constitution, which provides for the removal of a president for serious violations of the law or misconduct, the ATM called for Parliament to initiate an accountability process. This complaint activated a parliamentary mechanism designed to safeguard constitutional governance. Section 89 Independent Panel Report. In response, the Speaker of the National Assembly appointed an independent panel in terms of Section 89 to conduct a preliminary assessment of the evidence. The panel's report, released in November 2022, found that there was prima facie evidence suggesting that President Ramaphosa may have violated the Constitution and the law. The panel emphasized that its role was not to determine guilt, but to assess whether sufficient grounds existed for Parliament to proceed with a full inquiry. Nonetheless, the findings placed significant political pressure on the president and intensified public debate about ethical leadership. Public Protector Report. Simultaneously, the Public Protector conducted an investigation into aspects of the Phala matter, focusing on whether the president acted improperly in relation to the handling of the burglary, foreign currency, and the possible use of state resources. The resulting report added another layer of institutional scrutiny, although its findings were contested and challenged in court. The involvement of the public protector underscored the multiplicity of accountability mechanisms while also revealing institutional tensions and legal uncertainty. Constitutional Court challenge. President Ramaphosa challenged the Section 89 panel report in the Constitutional Court, arguing that the process was procedurally unfair and constitutionally flawed. He contended that the panel exceeded its mandate and that its findings unjustly prejudiced him without affording adequate procedural protections. This challenge shifted the matter decisively into the judicial arena, highlighting the court's central role in resolving disputes concerning executive accountability. ATM and EFF Court challenge to Parliament's rejection of the Section 89 panel report. After Parliament voted to reject the Section 89 panel report and declined to establish a full impeachment inquiry, the ATM, joined by the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, approached the courts to challenge Parliament's decision. The parties argued that Parliament failed in its constitutional duty to hold the executive accountable and acted irrationally by ignoring the panel's prima facie findings. This legal challenge deepened concerns about whether parliamentary oversight had been undermined by political considerations rather than guided by constitutional principles. Constitutional Court judgment delayed and public outcry. The delay in the finalization of court judgments and the protracted nature of the accountability process have generated widespread public frustration. Civil society groups, opposition parties, and ordinary citizens have voiced concern that delays erode confidence in democratic institutions. In a country with a history of corruption scandals, the perception that justice moves slowly or selectively has fueled the belief that accountability for those in power remains elusive. The delay has reinforced the notion that legal complexity can be used to postpone political responsibility. Conclusion. The Phala saga represents a critical stress test for South Africa's constitutional democracy. While multiple mechanisms of accountability have been activated, ranging from parliamentary oversight and independent panels to the public protector and the courts, the drawn-out process has raised profound questions about effectiveness and political will. Whether the president is ultimately exonerated or held responsible, the saga has already exposed the dangers of delayed accountability. In doing so, it serves as a stark reminder that constitutional safeguards are only as strong as the resolve to enforce them promptly and impartially.